All right, today we're diving deep into the mind of one of the internet's most polarizing figures, Iman Gadzhi. He just did this incredibly open Q&A, and we're going to use it to basically deconstruct his entire worldview. Let's just jump right in.
And boom, he opens with this. This single quote, is pretty much the key to understanding his whole public persona and how he handles all the hate. It's so bold, it's confrontational, and honestly, it sets the stage perfectly for everything else we're about to cover.
So, if you believe that all your haters are just jealous, how do you actually deal with that insane amount of negativity you get online? Well, it turns out he's got a whole system for filtering through all the noise.
And this is where it gets kind of interesting. He doesn't just write off all the criticism. He actually admits that when his stuff gets chopped up into these short little clips, it can make him look really arrogant, or as he puts it, braggadocious. He says he actually reads the comments and that some of the points people make are very valid, which is, a surprising bit of self-awareness. The main thing to get here is how he separates what he calls mindless hate from what he sees as actual, legitimate feedback.
Okay, so that leads us right into his personal playbook for life. How did his really unique childhood shape the principles he lives by now? The ones that dictate not just his own standards, but what he expects from everyone around him.
So Gadzhi grew up without a father figure. Now, most people would probably see that as a huge disadvantage, right? But he flips it, he frames it as his secret weapon. He basically argues that most people just inherit a flawed worldview from their parents. But because he had what he calls a clean slate, he was totally free to build his own character from the ground up, without having to follow some broken model.
And you can totally see how those self-made rules translate directly into how he runs his business. His hiring criteria are incredibly blunt. Number one, you got to fit the culture. Number two, you have to be cool, not loud or anything, just someone who adds good energy. But it's that third rule that gets all the attention. Absolutely no fuck-ups.
So what does he even mean by that? Well, he's talking about people who are just chronically careless. You know the type. Always missing flights, losing their phone, just disorganized in general. He argues that that stuff isn't separate from your professional life. For him, a person's character in private has everything to do with how they're going to perform on a team.
And to show he's not just talking the talk, he tells this story. Back when he was totally broke, desperate for cash, he found a backpack with thousands of pounds worth of gear inside. Instead of just taking it, which he really could have used, he spent a whole week hunting down the owner to give it back. He holds himself to that exact same code of honor he demands from his team.
Okay, so now let's see how this really intense personal code applies to love and relationships. This is easily the most debated, most controversial part of his entire worldview.
And all of this really leads to one big question that people always ask. Based on everything we've just laid out, what in the world does Iman Gadzhi actually consider a high-value woman?
He calls it the king and queen dynamic, and he says he got the idea from the movie The Gentleman. The idea is, the man is the king. He's out there conquering the world. The woman is his queen, and she's ruling right by his side. Now, this isn't about being submissive or anything like that. It's about being a real partner who gets the mission, represents the family name, and protects the kingdom. They're equals, for sure, but they each hold a very different kind of power.
And he gets super specific with his advice for women, and it's all based on a timeline. He says in your early 20s, go have fun, date your high school crush, whatever. But by age 25, he thinks there needs to be a major shift in your mindset. He says you should be seriously looking at your partner and thinking, could this person be the father of my children? Because, as he points out, it takes years to really truly know someone. So for him, being smart about that timeline is absolutely critical.
And when it comes to the whole body count debate, the number of past partners, his view is actually a lot more nuanced than you might think. He says he doesn't judge a woman for her past, but that context is everything. He argues that where you come from, your culture, really matters. Like a woman from a more sexually liberal place, that's a totally different situation than a woman from a culture where that's way less common.
So what's really the foundation for all these intense views on life and business and love? Let's take a look at the core values that he actually wants to build his entire legacy on.
It really all boils down to just two words: integrity and honor. And this goes straight back to that story about the backpack. He believes that even when it makes your life 10 times harder, you still have to do the right thing. That's the code he lives by.
And a massive part of this code is his faith. Get this, his first name, Iman, literally means faith in Arabic. He was born a Muslim, and even though he says he strayed from the path over the years, he truly believes he will die a Muslim.
And this is such a crucial piece of the puzzle because it means he operates from this fundamental belief that one day he's going to have to answer to a higher power for everything he's done.
And this all brings us to his final definition of what love is. He even admits that some people are going to find it depressing, but for him, true love isn't about butterflies and that initial spark. Nope. It's about waking up next to someone, knowing every single one of their flaws, their negatives, and still choosing them over anyone else on the planet. That, to him, is what home feels like. That's real love.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. In Iman Gadzhi's world, it seems like pragmatism wins over passion every single time. So what do you think? What actually makes a life well lived? A fiery, passionate romance? Or a steady, pragmatic partnership?